In this lecture, we will discuss another important judgment of the Supreme Court relating to free legal aid, which falls under right to life and personal liberty, and the very judgment revolves around Khatri and others versus State of Bihar and others. The very introduction that we will discuss relating to free legal aid and how it is a part of right to life and personal liberty, which is falling under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. The very facts relating to this case leads the blinding of undertrial prisoners in the Bhagalpur Central Jail by the prison authorities, and so the issues relating to this important judgment relates to legal aid as a fundamental right and the very obligation of the state, and it is also the magistrate's responsibility to intimate about legal aid to the under trial prisoners. So also will discuss the petitioner's contention and arguments and the arguments led by the respondent and the state and the laws involved in this important judgment, and finally the judgment and the conclusion of the important judgment. So in this introduction, which leads to the case of Khatri and others versus State of Bihar and others in 1981 revolved around the constitutional right to free legal aid under Article 21 of the Constitution. The Supreme Court declared that free legal services is an essential ingredient of the right to life and personal liberty guaranteed under Article 21. It chastises the state of Bihar for failing to provide legal representation to poor and illiterate undertrials, despite the court's earlier judgment delivered in Hussain Khatun vs. State of Bihar in 1979. So, the very brief facts of the case that we would like to discuss: in 1979, several on-trial prisoners lodged in Bhagalpur Central Jail, Bihar, had their eyes blinded by the prison authorities allegedly to prevent them from identifying the police personnel. So an habeas corpus petitions filed in Supreme Court under Article 32 of the Constitution by and on behalf of these blinded prisoners called Khatri and others against the state of Bihar and others. The state filed counter affidavits giving details about the blinded prisoners. As required by the court, it was revealed that most blinded prisoners were unrepresented and were not provided free legal aid. Despite the court's ruling in Hussain Khatun's case in 1979, as they had not, as per it, the judicial magistrate had also not informed them about the availability of free legal service. So the very issues involved in this particular important landmark judgment is whether free legal aid is a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution. At what stage should the state provide free legal aid to the accused persons? Further, it raised the question relating to the very argument that free legal aid is a essential ingredient of the fundamental rights. So, the very question relating to this landmark judgment we would like to discuss about the arguments why the petitioners' right to free legal aid is essential for fair procedure under Article 21 of the Fundamental Rights. State must provide a lawyer if required in the interest of justice, irrespective of accused poverty. Obligation of the state to provide legal aid arises when accused is first produced before magistrate and also at bail stage. Denial to these stages violates Article 21 of the Fundamental Rights. Other poverty, no excuse to avoid constitutional duty to provide legal aid. State must do whatever is required. Legal and meaningless unless magistrate informs accused about it. People are mostly illiterate about their rights, and the very arguments of the respondent, that is state of Bihar, was admitted legal aid necessary under Article 21 in light of court's ruling, but state may find it difficult due to financial constraints. Investigation still underway, not yet clear. Police blinded prisoners compensation claim untenable now, and the very legal aspects are large involved in this case. One is scope of right to life and personal liberty under Article 21. Secondly, state's obligation under Article 21 further role of judiciary in expanding scope of fundamental rights. Concept of procedure established by law under Article 21, further right of undertrials and other accused persons, and lastly constitutional remedies for violation of fundamental rights. So the judgment delivered by the apex court in this important leading case, Khatri and Others, vs.State of Bihar and others in 1981, as the judgment delivered, right to free legal services is fundamental right falling under Article 21. State must provide lawyer to accused if required for fair trial. Obligation to provide legal services arises when accused first produced before magistrate and also during remand. And this is the vital stage. Poverty, no ground to deny legal aid. State must provide services irrespective of financial constraint. Further, magistrate must inform accused about availability of free legal aid. People are mostly unaware of their rights. Constitutional duties under Article 21 cannot be avoided, citing financial inability. Further, 24 hours arrest production rule must be followed seriously. Blinded prisoners to be housed outside Bhagalpur jail till next hearing. Arguments and compensation for Article 21 violation deferred till next hearing as it was delivered. Why the apex court in this important leading case, Khatri and Others vs. State of Bihar? So by holding that Article 21 embodies the right to free legal services, the apex court expanded the scope of fundamental rights. It adopted a creative interpretation of Article 21, building on its earlier landmark judgment. The case is a milestone in criminal jurisprudence regarding rights of the accused, especially poor and marginalized sections. It laid down procedural safeguards like mandatory disclosure of availability of legal aid. The judgment promoted access to justice and equality before law. Its directions continue to serve as guiding principles. However, the actual impact in improving legal aid has been mixed. The majority of underprivileged undertrials still remain unaware of their legal rights. The free legal aid system suffers from lack of funds, proper management, and quality lawyers. But the very judgment has inspired civil society and lawyers to provide proven legal services as well as the latter enactment of legislation like Legal Services Authority Act 1987. So, in this important judgment delivered by the Apex Court, the Apex Court and the Honorable presiding judges, they referred to certain important leading cases such as the Hussainer Khatun vs.State of Bihar, which was decided by the Apex Court in the year 1979.